sitting on a beach somewhere. So you get me, Matt McCarthy. And to plant you in the ground for the next 30 minutes, or 26 minutes at this point, is the great Jimmy Stewart. Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, good, you? I know why you brought me in here. We'll get to that to open up because you might not have a chance to do what you're about to do to me. I know exactly why you brought me in here.
Oh, yeah, you owe me an apology over Sam Hauser because he sucks and isn't good at basketball.
So, I never said he was going to be good in the playoffs. I said he was going to be good and win you games in the regular season. Playoffs are a different animal.
Right.
Sam Hauser is what you saw from Dougie McBuckets. That's why you can't ever play him in the playoffs, is because they just hunt him on defense.
So is that an apology from you, or is that it kind of felt like a fake apology, like a Joe Murray style apology, like I apologize but I'm not sorry type of thing?
There was no apology in there. There was not the words, because I said Sam Hauser in the regular season. And if he happens to do anything well in the postseason, well, that's extra credit. As Billy Beane once said, I'm not responsible for the postseason. I can only be successful in the regular season.
We're here to talk about postseason, though, Jimmy. Postseason. You know, the last time you and I did a show together was at this time last year, coming off an exhilarating Celtics victory, coming off Game 6, the Derek White tip-in. You know, you're going to lose, do you win? You know, from darkness and despair to joy and jubilation and all that. And you and I did an hour leading into Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7, where we oozed nothing but green team. I mean, it was Nickelodeon slime all over us for an hour, and we were wrong.
Well, that's because Jayson Tatum blew out his ankle.
Which is why I think it's going to be different this year, because I'm assuming this is going to be a positive program, or at least a positive half hour.
Well, it is different here.
It is,
and the Celtics are all in.
It's true. They've got the whole video series to prove it. The whole documentary. I'm feeling good about them. Obviously, you're feeling good about them. They're going to the NBA Finals. Will they do it tonight, though? How do you feel about that?
I do, because I think that the Celtics feel an urgency because they were down 3-0 to the Miami Heat last year, and they know what it's like to have that energy to come at the 3-0 team, because they were the 3-0 team. And there is an argument to be made that the Pacers, that they stole Game 1 and Game 3 from the Pacers. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to make that argument, because at the end of the day, they executed when they needed to.
Right, that argument's coming tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock, especially if there's a loss in Game 4 by the Celtics. But I do believe that they will do what it takes offensively and defensively, and they will show the fourth quarter effort defensively that they did in Game 3 tonight throughout all 4 quarters. Because I think that they're looking forward to, they get the rest that they need, they shut this team down, they don't let them hang around, they get 10 days worth of rest, something like that. Then they're all healthy and ready to go, whether it's the Mavericks or if the Wolves make a comeback here.
So to do that, you need to have a killer instinct, which is something I think the Celtics have not had, really for the last few years. In the Brown and Tatum era, they have not had a killer instinct. I kind of feel like they've developed it in this series, and maybe I'm looking too much into this, and you let me know, Jimmy, but Game 1 and Game 3, yes, the Pacers were complicit, particularly in Game 1, giving that away, but I think the Celtics took Game 3 from the Pacers. I think they ripped it out of their hands, and that's not something I've seen from this Celtics team before. And that was a sign that made me say, you know what, this team is different. And I think in years past, right? So if this were last year, they would lose this game tonight. They would show up, they wouldn't care about it. They'd get outplayed, out-hustled, out-efforted by the opposing team, and, they'd let the series extend longer than it should. I'll be surprised if that happens tonight. I will. I think I saw a killer instinct from them in Game 3 that I haven't seen from them before. Am I overreacting to that?
No, I saw Tatum light up early. He was hitting those 3-pointers in the first quarter. And then the second half, specifically late third and going through the fourth quarter, they amped up their level of defense. And Joe Mazzulla coached his ass off in Game 3. As he was making these adjustments, he was making these different switches on the defensive schemes. He was letting Holiday roam a little bit, and Holiday's play was clearly the signature moment in the comeback victory. But Joe Mazzulla allowing Holiday to roam and make that play, and the way he bodied him up, and I think Rick Carlisle is still screaming for a foul on that call, even though you go back to the replay, it wasn't. And the Pacers, yes, complicit, but there was an intensity level on defense where they figured out the adjustments and they executed it, and they kept in it while down 18, where Rick Carlisle the other night was down big, and he threw up the white flag. We're like, we'll come to play another day.
Well, I know you didn't like the way the Celtics came out, right? I mean, down 18, you felt like their defensive intensity wasn't there, but to me, Jimmy, they turned it on.
It ramped up, and that's the biggest problem is it's they go from they're playing in first gear for a lot when they should be playing in second or third gear for more of the game than they are. Because I think the Pacers are a very stupid basketball team, and that's why they go at the accelerated pace that they do on offense, is because you can't slow it down to draw up a play because they have a low basketball IQ, as opposed to the Celtics that are a little bit more methodical, thoughtful, and so on. So it's about the Celtics keeping pace with Indiana, and they can do that because they can read and react.
I actually love the way you described the Pacers. It's like, so we've seen the good and the bad from the Indiana Pacers, who, for the most part, I've been impressed by in this series. Like, there are some things to like about this team. They score at will, they go really fast, but at the same time, they turn the ball over too much. They were obviously complicit in their own demise in Game 1. Maybe not so much as in Game 3, but certainly in Game 1. This has been a scrappy team. It has. And I know that perhaps they're not the best competition out there. Of course, they're obviously not the best competition. But I've been impressed by the Celtics being able to match their intensity at times. They haven't been able to do it all throughout the series, but in Game 3, at the end of that game, they found a way to ramp up their intensity to a point where the Pacers just couldn't get there. If we're going to use the gear analogy, the Pacers are in fifth gear. They're in fifth gear a lot, but they don't have a sixth gear. And the Celtics, once they went to sixth gear, the Pacers couldn't keep up.
And why Rick Carlisle didn't call the timeout is because Carlisle might have a fear that he's going to drop a play that they're going to screw up. And so this is something that LeBron James and JJ Redick have talked about on their podcast, is that you can have the best coach in the world drop a great play, but if the players on the team have a low IQ and can't figure out left side versus right side of the basketball court to run a play, then there's no point. And that's just kind of a developing theory that I have about the Pacers, is their basketball IQ is very low, and they have to play with pace to keep up with these basketball games.
Doesn't that show how important Drew Holiday is to the Celtics, though? I mean, you want to talk about a high basketball IQ player. I mean, to me, Jimmy, he is the perfect role player on a championship team. And that's what I feel the Celtics team is. I think they're a championship team. I think they've shown you in this series why they're a championship team. Obviously, they have the talent. We'll get to Jayson Tatum's night the other night. We'll get to Jayson Tatum's playoffs. But I just think adding Drew Holiday into the mix, and you want to talk about basketball IQ, right? Marcus Smart at times didn't have a high enough basketball IQ. Too emotional, too reckless. Could make plays like Drew Holiday could make. Would Marcus Smart have made that play that Drew Holiday made the other night to seal the game defensively? Maybe, right? I mean, Marcus Smart had that ability, but would he have been too out of control on the offensive end, to get the game-tying bucket?
He would have pulled up for a three-point shot and clanked it.
Yep. And now you add Drew Holiday to this group. I think the perfect player for what they need, and that's why I think this year is different, Jimmy.
And the Celtics' top six, all high IQ basketball players.
No doubt.
All basketball players with a high IQ. This is why they don't put me on the air, Matt, because I'm like fumbling around and changing words and sentences, and commas not in the right place, and
commas. We don't do commas in radio, Jimmy. You just get up here, you spew your BS, and you just do it really fast, and that's how you do effective radio, I think. Not that I should tell you how to do effective radio.
That's why I'm better in the other room just chirping and yelling at people.
Nobody better than Jimmy Stewart. He's too hard on himself. 617-779-0985. Phone lines are open. I want to talk about Jayson Tatum and his performance the other night, and I want to look ahead, too. I want to draft the series. We're going to draft the series. We're going to draft the NBA Finals. Is this too early? Skaz, are we drafting the NBA Finals too early at this point?
No, I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point.
There you go. And we're going to sit around for 10 days and we're going to wait on it. So you know what, Jimmy? We're going to jump everybody else. This is the first opportunity. Let's just jump right ahead. Let's get on this early.
First to the finals. McCarthy, Jay Stu, Skaz, in for Joe Murray tonight. Stu's here until 6:30. I'm here until 7:30, leading you into Celtics pregame.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
Al Horford for three. Timeout, Rick Carlisle, as his 18-point lead has been whittled down to 3. Eric White into the front court. Boston down 6. Holiday's got it. Going to step past Nembhard. Throw out on the wing to Jaylen Brown. Now Tatum open. Wants the straightaway 3. Got it! 3-point game. No hesitation. Tatum wanted that ball. You could feel him calling for it.
Reeling them back in.
109, 106, 36 for Tatum. What are they going to say about him now? Clock rolling with 1:22 to go. Derek White through the logo. We're at 111 to 106. Derek White for Tatum. He turns the corner on Nesmith. Gets in deep. Goes behind the back to find an open Al Horford in the corner for 3. What a pass by Jayson Tatum. It's a 2-point game.
Man, my heart is stopped beating.
7 threes for Al Horford tonight. Tatum has been brilliant. 36, 10, and 7.
Talk a little bit about your guy Tatum, because he's been greatly talked about, but tonight was huge.
Yes, give him his credit tonight. He was absolutely amazing. That right hand behind the back bounce pass to the corner, man, that was special. You know what I mean? He was acting different tonight, and give him his credit. He played extremely well, helped us get this win, and Pacers played unbelievable. That was a great win for us.
Great recap from Jimmy Stewart on Jayson Tatum's night. Give him his credit, Stu. Give it to him. Will you?
Jayson Tatum?
Yes.
Yeah, he played well the other night.
Oh, I sense some hesitation, and I sense a little bit of, he played well the other night.
He did play well in Game 3. He absolutely did. He played well in Game 3 and the overtime in Game 1.
You've been poisoned.
What do you mean I've been poisoned?
You've been poisoned by those guys.
What? So how would you like me to judge Jayson Tatum?
I would like you to judge Jayson Tatum by saying he was outstanding the other night. This is what I want from you. The take I want from you. He was outstanding the other night. He has not been perfect in these playoffs, but he's been really good. He makes everybody else around him better.
He was good, capital G.
I think he was great the other night.
I think offensively he came out with aggression. I think he played with aggression throughout the basketball game. He could have been better in certain spots.
So what you're saying is...
I will say this, though. He was feeling it. He did have confidence that I hadn't seen in a long time from Jayson Tatum. He had 2 outstanding behind-the-back passes to Al Horford, which means he felt good about reading the defense and adjusting and seeing the open player, in this case, Al Horford, for the corner.
He generally makes the right decision. He generally makes the right play. Listen, nobody's perfect, right? But, Jayson Tatum, do I have faith that he's going to make the right play? Yes, I do. And I think we underrate that when it comes to Jayson Tatum. We underappreciate that when it comes to Jayson Tatum. He's going to make the right play. And you know what? This year, he doesn't have Marcus Smart. He was making the right play, theoretically, the right basketball decision to get the ball to the open Marcus Smart all those years, right? But Marcus Smart's not going to knock it down. You have Drew Holiday now.
Well, you have Al Horford, who either hits 7 threes or hits 0 threes.
So this is why you need to win tonight. You need to give Horford the rest.
Exactly.
You can't put another 35 minutes on Horford in Game 5.
And Xavier Tillman and, the Murder Hornets back tonight and available. Maybe we should hit the breaking news sounder on that. I'm not sure.
You know what, Skaz, why don't we hit the breaking news sounder? Because it's not just the Murder Hornet. We do have news on the Indiana Pacers.
This is Breaking Sports News.
Powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
On 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Doesn't that feel good to be in here when that button gets pressed?
Oh, it's great.
Tyrese Halliburton out tonight for the Indiana Pacers.
Championship finals, here we come. So does that make Rick Carlisle look like a jackwagon for being like, they're planning the ceremony here? They knew. And Rick Carlisle should know better, by the way. How many years has he been coaching? How many times has he been in the East Finals? They make these plans all the time.
It's a desperation move.
Yeah.
It's just trying to fire up a young team, a team that hasn't been there before. Carlisle knows.
Yeah.
And listen, Carlisle, I think, he's been around a long time. He tried to work the refs in the, early on in that Knicks series. Carlisle knows he has limitations with this team. I give Rick Carlisle credit. I think he's gotten this team farther than theoretically they should have gone. Now, they got some breaks along the way, obviously, that Knicks series. But this isn't Indiana sports radio. This is not Indianapolis sports radio. Tyrese Halliburton out.
Advantage Celtics.
You think?
#Advantage Celtics.
Second night it happens. I think it's a much bigger advantage. First night it happens, I'm starting to subscribe to the Sean Grandy theory that when you miss your best player, the team in some ways is actually a little bit different. They generally respond to that. Cleveland did that in game 1 where they were missing Donovan Mitchell. Indiana did that in game 3. It wasn't game 1 of the series, but the first game they were missing Donovan Mitchell. I thought Cleveland really responded well to that. You've got some guy named Andrew Nimhard going out there having the night of his life because Tyrese Halliburton wasn't available. I think it's the second night where you're missing that guy that you feel it the most, and I think the Pacers are going to feel it the most tonight, and I think the Celtics are going to take advantage. I think they run away with this one.
Yeah, I do too. I think they start out 12-0 run, 14-2 run, something big like that. And where the difference will be is not only they're hitting their shots, but they're playing intense defense, because I think that they know from last year, the Heat being up 3-0, that there's a comeback possibility here. And I think the Celtics just want to shut that down altogether.
So let's move on in that case.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Let's draft the NBA Finals.
Ooh, first of the finals.
First of the finals. You heard it here first. First to the finals, which sounds like something that 7 News would use. First to the finals with McCarthy and Stu. Let's draft it. We kind of did this. I don't want to say Dondero and Silver did this, because that would mean we weren't first on it, which is important. You have to be first. They asked, which duo do you want? I'm just saying draft the finals. You have the number 1 overall pick. Who you taking, Stu?
Jayson Tatum.
I am too. You know why? He's been there and he hasn't done that, right? But he's been there before. And he makes his teammates better than Luka does. And Tatum's a better defender, which matters in the NBA Finals. That's my reasoning. Why are you taking Jayson Tatum
And
first?
I think on top of he's the better defender, he also has the higher basketball IQ. And he can read and react a lot better, and he can decoy better than Luka can. Luka needs to pound the ball into the ground for 18 seconds and then make the decision unless it's not his turn. But the key reason why, more recent example of why I would take Tatum over Luka, the last shot of the game against, in regulation, the Jaylen Brown hit, which did not hit the backboard. Jayson Tatum played a spectacular decoy, and I don't think that Luka could do that on the offensive side of the basketball.
Love that. I think it's a great take. I think it's spot on. I would take Tatum first. Does that mean you're taking Luka second, though?
I am taking Luka second.
So this is where I think it gets really interesting again. You taking Kyrie or Jaylen Brown third?
Jaylen Brown third.
I think I'm taking Kyrie.
And here's why I take Jaylen Brown third. I almost wanted to do Tatum Brown because Jaylen Brown's defense is just so much better than Luka's. It can be so much better than Luka's. But Luka's offensive game is so much better than Jaylen's offensive and defensive games, I feel like, combined. Mm-hmm. So that's why I go Luka 2. Jaylen I take over Kyrie because I think Jaylen puts in more effort defensively and can have a higher ceiling defensively, whereas Kyrie can put in all this effort defensively, but he can't reach the same ceiling that Jaylen Brown can. And offensively, Kyrie, I would say, is slightly better than Jaylen, but they're two different offensive players. Kyrie is more of the three-point shooter, can shoot it from anywhere smoothly, drive and kick. Jaylen Brown can hit the three-point shot, but he's a drive and put it in the basket. And I think that's the difference. I would rather have the drive and put it in the basket than the drive and kick player.
See, I just worry about Kyrie in a big moment, and maybe that's irrational, but here's a guy who's hit a game-winning shot in the NBA Finals in Game 7, and he's obviously going to be engaged in this series. I worry about Kyrie. I do, just a little bit. And that's probably more a Celtics fan thing than anything. I don't want to see a situation where the game's on the line and Kyrie Irving is putting up a shot. It terrifies me.
And this is where I get to who I'm drafting next.
So you're taking Kyrie 4, though.
Kyrie 4.
Yep.
And then it's Derek White, Holiday.
I would take Drew Holiday in that situation.
Either way, 5-6. Those are who I'm taking next because they're going to rotate around who defends Kyrie Irving. And whether it's Holiday on Doncic, it's Jaylen on Kyrie, they're going to rotate around who defends Kyrie and Luka depending on the situation and what their defensive read is. And I think that they are going to game plan specifically to frustrate, annoy, and shut down Kyrie Irving. And it's going to be White and Holiday who are at the forefront of that. And you'll have Luka Doncic who will get his triple-double.
Yep.
But Kyrie will have one game where he's at 20 points, but he'll have more games that are at 10, 11, 12 with multiple turnovers.
So this is kind of like the game that they had against Dallas a couple months back at this point, whatever that was. Luka went off, right? He got his, but the Celtics dominated and controlled that game. And I think my favorite thing about this Celtics team this year, Jimmy, has been the play of their guards. I think their guard. We make so much about Brown and Tatum, rightfully so, 2 all-NBA quality players. But when you have guards who play their role, who defend, are versatile defenders, are excellent defenders, can defend bigger guys, are a shot blocking threat like Derek White is, 4 blocks the other night. It just gives this team so much versatility. And that's why I love this matchup against Dallas. The Kyrie thing scares me just because it's Kyrie, but that's more emotionally. I'm scared by it. I don't want to do that whole Kyrie thing, like all that. When you break it down from a basketball perspective, the Celtics should be able to shut down Kyrie Irving and contain Luka. Now, containing him might be him going off for a triple-double, but containing everybody else around him because of White and because of Holiday, those are the key guys in that series.
And that's why, like, on paper, I look at this and I go, the Celtics should sweep Dallas. I think they're that much better on both sides of the basketball. But there's the human element of this, and there's an emotional element to this. And that's why if I'm picking the finals, the first pick on the finals on this station, as far as I know, I'm picking the Celtics in 5.
There you go. You heard it from Jimmy Stewart. Celtics in 5 in the NBA Finals. Yes, Eastern Conference Finals Game 4 is tonight. Who cares about that? We're off to the finals. Stu, you are the man. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for sticking around. It is appreciated more than you know. So here's what we're going to do. Stu's going to go. He's going to go home. He's got a family. He's got wife. He's got kids. He's got things to do. So we're going to let Stu go, and we'll hear from you. 617-779-0985, getting the game ready for Eastern Conference Finals Game 4 tonight. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray here on the Sports Hub. Quick update, then right back with you.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics looking to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals tonight. Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers. Coverage starts at 7:30 on the BetMGM Celtics Radio Network. Kristaps Porzingis.
against Towns. Over the top to Kyrie. Little ball fake to the left. And now right to left drive into the lane. And with the left hand against Edwards. Able to put it up and in from just behind the charge circle. Kyrie at the right wing just above the break against Conley. They're trying to deal with Conley on the drive. Bank it in with a foul. And Mike Conley just picked up his third foul here in the third quarter. And his fourth of the game. Now the trap for McDaniels. To Green, right to Washington. To Luka in the right corner against Towns. Jab stepping and put it on the floor. Step back right for three. He heads. That was a really difficult shot. Towns played him really well. Luka to his right, into the lane, spinning, fading from 15. He heads as he hits the floor. 109, 105. 2:15 remaining. The inbound to Kyrie. He's going to get it across the line. He's going to dribble out the clock. And the Dallas Mavericks are up 3 games to none in the Western Conference Finals as they pass Minnesota late and defeat the Timberwolves again. This time by 9, 116-107.
You're one game away from heading to the NBA Finals. I know you have experience in this, but what do you preach to the younger guys and for yourself? How do you stay poised and continue to not let your foot off the gas come Wednesday?
Don't take this moment for granted and understand that they're still going to continue to play hard. In order to have a great team submit or anybody submit as a competitor, you got to make sure you do everything right. So we got to prepare, we got to get our rest, and we just got to be ready for a home crowd that's ready to go to the finals.
It is kind of remarkable, isn't it, that Kyrie is this relevant again. Kyrie is back at the center of all of this. Not just from an NBA perspective, given that he was obviously an outcast for a lot of reasons. Things didn't work out in Brooklyn, and I mean, I'll be honest, I thought he was on the back nine. I didn't think he was the player that, he once was, and I mean, maybe he still isn't, but it is pretty remarkable that he's here. And from the Celtics perspective, what an unbelievable storybook ending this will be, or a nightmare, one or the other. Because it's going to be the Celtics and it's going to be the Mavericks. And the fact that the Celtics are going to have to go through Kyrie Irving at the end of this, the guy you were going to attach your entire franchise to, the future of the franchise, everything was building towards Kyrie's team. Kyrie Irving was going to be the Boston Celtics, and then he chose not to, and that generally destroys franchises. When your star player decides he wants out, that's it. You're done. See you later. You're back into the rebuild. Here you go. The Celtics were obviously in a position lucky enough where they had 2 young budding stars in Brown and Tatum, and it's obviously worked out for them. I mean, they've been better off without Kyrie, but the fact that he's going to be here at the end of this, that's something else, man. That is something else. What a story it'll be if they beat them. I'm with Stu. I generally think they will. I think actually Dallas is a pretty good matchup for the Celtics. With White and Holiday being able to contain Kyrie, I think it feels like a good matchup to me. But your thoughts at 617-779-0985. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray tonight. How about Jim in Boston? Hi, Jim.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up?
So my take is it's a toss-up, Dallas versus Boston, and I'll tell you why. I agree. Tatum has changed. He now knows to get rid of the ball. That back around the back pass to Horford was like a seminal moment, showing that he really understands. So I agree with that, and I agree with that Brown is no longer the turnover machine he has been. That all being said, Irving, I swear to God, I mean, you saw how he played in that Cleveland final. That man has the ability to focus on a series like nobody else. I mean, that was just a magical time for basketball when he won that championship with LeBron.
Yeah, and that's the thing that worries me about Kyrie, Jim, is he's been there before and he's done it in big moments. And the Celtics don't really have any of those guys except for Drew Holiday. Holiday is that guy. So that's why I feel a little bit better about the Kyrie matchup, because you have Drew Holiday and because you have Derek White. But I do agree. Listen, if Kyrie's taking a shot to win a game, I'm not feeling great about that. I'm feeling nervous about that as a Celtics fan. And the thought of losing to Kyrie Irving in the NBA Finals is nauseating. It's sickening if you're a Celtics fan. So I get that. I understand what you're saying there. I just think the Celtics are a better team. I do. I think they're a better team. I think in general it's a good matchup because of the Celtics guards. It's what I've loved about this team all year long is their guard play. I always trust that Drew Holiday and Derek White are going to do the right thing. And it's been a long time since I've been able to say that about Celtics guards. Marcus Smart, obviously, is who I'm talking about. To have guys who you can trust are going to do the right thing. And listen, does that mean you're going to knock down the shot? Does that mean you're going to win the game? No. But it vastly increases your odds. Especially for a team that has struggled to do the right thing in big moments. And I've seen that from the Celtics in this series. I've seen that in this Pacers series. They have done the right things at the big moments. And when have you seen that from them before? I think that's been a really fair criticism that we've had of the Celtics for years, is that they crumble in crunch time, they crumble in big moments, and I said it all year long. All year long I said, let me see them in a big moment in the playoffs, though. And they haven't had many big moments because they're so much better than everybody else, but they've had 2 games with really big moments, and they have passed those tests with flying colors. So I'm not going to sit here and then discredit them for that. I'm not going to sit here and just kind of ignore that just because they're better than the Pacers. And they are better than the Pacers. But you know what? They're going to be better than the Mavericks. Or if the Timberwolves come back somehow miraculously and win the next 4 games, the Celtics will be better than the Timberwolves. They were going to be better than anybody they played, maybe save for Denver. And you know what? They would have been better, more talented than Denver. They just wouldn't have had that championship experience. So if I'm going to sit here and wait for a moment for the Celtics where you say, well, they were really good against in a huge moment against a team that's better than them or on their same level, that's just not going to happen. It's just not, because those teams aren't out there. So I can only judge the Celtics by what I've seen against the teams they've played. And what I've seen in this Pacers series is something I haven't seen from them consistently before. Good in the big moments. Good in the clutch. That's next level stuff. And when you bring in a player like Drew Holiday, who's been there and has done that, has won championships by doing the right things, look at that 48th minute he had the other night. They haven't had a guy like that before who can do all that stuff. Now that you have him, sky's the limit. I really do believe that. Sky's the limit for this Celtics team. Mavericks, yeah, Kyrie, Luka, all that. Celtics should win that series. How are you feeling about it? 617-779-0985. Might as well move on because I think the Celtics are blowing out the Pacers tonight. But maybe you feel differently. You let me know. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray. We also do need to get into the passing of Bill Walton today. A Celtics legend, an NBA legend. We can do that as well with you coming up next.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
So, am I the right person to have on the air at this moment? No, I'm not. I understand I'm not fully equipped to do this. But here's what I can say about Bill Walton, the basketball player. I can talk about Bill Walton, the broadcaster, all night long. I mean, just as entertaining as it gets, but then his ability to switch back and break down the game, just make you feel good about yourself. Bill Walton was just one of those people, you saw him on TV and you just felt good about yourself. Or if you ran into him or whatever it was, you just felt good about yourself. You got that smile and everything, and you could talk about the cosmos and the planets and the universe and you name it. Like, meaning of life, man. He probably had it. He probably had it figured out. I can talk about all of that. I can't talk about Bill Walton, the basketball player, because I wasn't around to experience it. But I can say this. When I started playing basketball as a kid, my dad came up to me, and I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'5", all right? So I played center. My dad came up to me. He said, it's not just about scoring. It's not just about rebounding as a big man. He said, Bill Walton could pass the ball better than anybody. Bill Walton knew how to pass. You need to learn how to pass. And for whatever reason, that just stuck with me. 8, 9 years old, whatever I was, it's like, hey, just because you're the big guy down there doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to pass the basketball. And Bill Walton proved that. Bill Walton proved that a big man can be the best passer on the floor. Which I now understand why my dad was saying it to me, because I couldn't shoot, dribble, or rebound. So he's like, kid, you got to do something. You got to pass the ball. Like, you get it away. You don't know. That does not belong in your hands. You better learn how to pass. And he wasn't wrong. He definitely was not wrong. But he said you should learn how to pass because Bill Walton did. And if there's one thing I can do, if you and I went out there and played pickup basketball, you don't want the ball in my hands. But let me tell you, the second it gets there, it's going elsewhere. And it's going to be a good pass. Because I learned that because as I was told as a kid, Bill Walton could pass and you should be able to pass too. There you have it. We should do a Sports Hub pickup game. Shouldn't we do that, like for charity or something? Who would be your starting five, your Sports Hub starting five?
Sean Silver.
Definitely Silver. Silver can play and he's tall. Yep, he'd be our center for sure.
I don't know. I feel like there's a sharp drop off after that.
Real strong. Ted's not here anymore. I would have taken Ted as a power forward, no doubt about that. Precipitous drop off after Silver. There's got to be some little guy at the station who can play, right? Does anybody look like they've got game?
I'd put my, CYO travel back in the day. I can hit some free throws.
You can play.
As a defensive guard.
Yeah, no, me too. I was a defensive center who passed the ball. That's the way I would describe it. Didn't Maz blow out his Achilles?
Yeah, I think the injury report would be lengthy.
Yeah, tough. Tell you long. Felger? I'm trying to think like Felger. No. What'd he be, like a shooting guard? Shooting guard who shoots a little bit too much? McCone? No, nah. Hard to come up with many more people. Maybe I would crack the starting lineup. At least I can do something out there. Wow. Should make that happen at some point. How about Milliken? I bet Milliken would shock you. That low center of gravity. I bet Milliken would go out there and drop dimes on us. Like, where did this come from?
I don't know. I've seen Milliken get hurt sitting at his chair over there.
How did he do that?
That's only a question Milliken could answer. I think he got hurt going up the stairs one day, too.
Well, again, you said the injury report would be lengthy, but, Bill Walton had a lot of injuries in his career, and he persevered through that to be one of the greatest big men in the history of the game. You're telling me that Milliken couldn't persevere, they couldn't find a way to get through that injury history?
I just received a text from one James Stewart who said, I can set a screen. You can set a mean screen out there.
No, Stu would be out there setting illegal screens like you read about. Oh, he'd be throwing bows. No, Stu, I feel like if we're talking like prison ball, I want Stu on my team.
He'd be setting some Bam Adebayo screens out there.
Moving screens, just cracking you. Yep. No, he would fight for the rebound. No, Stu, scrappy guy. I want Stu. Sports Hub starting five. I've got Silver. I've got Stu. I need 3 more.
I'd put Cerrone and Joe out there. Give us some size.
Yep.
Joe talks about his glory days back in Hyde Park.
Joe claims. Have you heard this claim that he played in the Cape League?
I have heard this.
I don't know if there's any record out there of Joe Murray.
We got to find it.
I think he said he played for Wareham.
Yes, that is correct, I believe.
Played for Wareham. There's got to be a record of this somewhere.
Some old grainy footage of Joe Murray.
First baseman. I know that. Joe was a first baseman. He does talk about his athletic achievements quite a bit here. I, meanwhile, don't have any to report, which is why I'm doing this. But I could pass, damn it. Thanks to Bill Walton. Rest in peace. 617-779-0985. Actually, Paul in Eastie wants to talk about Bill Walton. Hi, Paul.
Good evening, guys. Listen to your show often. Haven't called before, but I'm an old school radio guy. I still love listening to baseball on the radio.
Me too.
Still paints a picture for me that I remember as a kid. So I enjoy your banter and your show very much.
Thank you.
I saw Bill Walton play personally and loved watching him growing up in East Boston and working at the Garden. I was fortunate to see these guys quite often, and there was no more student of the game than Bill Walton. Every move he made was thought out. He was just so methodical about how he played the game. Yep. And, of course, that type of game is gone, low post. But every way he moved his feet, it was just incredible. And to hear him after he left the game, he passed a lot of that. He passed a lot of that on. And you could hear the education in his voice. The way he transitioned that to the booth. It was just. He was so phenomenal to watch. It was like
more, Paul, and I'll let you go on that. And you know what I loved about him in the booth is that he kept it fun and he kept it light, because in the end, that's what sports are about. That's what sports are about. And yes, I mean, he was a heady player. He was a student of the game. Basketball IQ, which is a term that Jay Stu was using a lot earlier, through the roof. Basketball IQ from Bill Walton, which I mean, I love. That's my favorite type of player, the smart player. The guy who makes everybody else around him better, and Bill Walton certainly was that. And again, I didn't see him play, but I can tell you based on the highlights, I could watch 20 minutes worth of highlights of Bill Walton passing the basketball. That's cool stuff. And in the 98.5 pickup game that I'm putting together, I will be out there doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think, I'm a little younger than you, so I obviously never saw Walton play, but just the way he approached everything, he loved it. It was never an off switch with Bill Walton. He was just, that's who he was. He was that guy all the time. And there are people that complained about him on the broadcast, but if you paid attention, if you were listening, he was giving you stuff all the time, like really insightful, deep basketball stuff, but he was doing it his way, which is kind of a lost art. Like we're getting, robots left and right from Syracuse. We're losing a little bit of Bill Walton, and I think sports needs more guys like Bill Walton. Like I think life needs more people like Bill Walton.
Couldn't agree more about that. They do not have the Bill Walton, for whatever reason, the Bill Walton style is not in the syllabus at the Newhouse School. The Newhouse School of Communication at Syracuse University. From King of Prussia, he hit that shot. How about that? 617-779-0985. You are so right about that, Skaz. Quick update, no commercials, right back with you. We'll get back into the Celtics heading into tonight and heading into the NBA Finals, because, folks, this one's over. Quick update, then right back with you. It's McCarthy in for Joe.
WBC bus from the Town Fair Tire Studio, the home of the Bruins, Patriots, Revs, and Celtics.
Come on, Max, step back three is good.
Boston's home for sports is 95, the Sports Hub, an Easley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
I could do the update as Syracuse block, but I'm not going to do that. Celtics-Pacers, Game 4 tonight. Eastern Conference Finals. Grandy and Max got to start at a half hour from now on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub, Celtics Radio Network. Kristaps Porzingis out, Luke Kornet in. Tyrese Halliburton out. Hall of Famer, NBA legend, 80 member of the 86 Celtics, Bill Walton, passing away today at the age of 71 after a lengthy battle with cancer. Red Sox smoked by the Orioles today, 11-3. Cooper Criswell gave up 7 runs over 4 innings of work. Ronald Acuna done for the year. Brave star tearing his ACL last night. He will miss the rest of the regular season. Oilers and the Stars face off Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals tonight. That series tied up at a game apiece. In the PWHL, Boston still alive after forcing and getting a double overtime win last night over Minnesota in Game 4. Game 5 set for Wednesday night at the Tsonga Center. And Rafael Nadal was knocked out today in the first round of the French Open. Headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update during Celtics Tonight.
You want to talk sports? We want to talk sports.
Squeeze the chicken and open the mouth.
It's like we were meant for each other.
This is why you need us.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
That means Jay Stu was on YouTube with us earlier today. We can read through the comments here on YouTube in a bit. I generally try to get in there, particularly during the break. They say my forehead is shiny. Yes, it is. I'm Irish. I don't know what to tell you. Yep. That's the way it is. Or maybe they were talking about Stu. I don't know. But, yeah, no, you're right about that. 617-779-0985. How about Devin in Woburn?
I feel like people are forgetting we played him on a good Brooklyn team, even though they had a down year, and his mentality might have been a little bit different. We played them a couple years ago and swept them, and even Tatum going late game heroics, hitting a buzzer beater shot to beat them. So I just feel like people are overlooking like the fact that like he's Kyrie and all that, but we have a better team and we're in a better situation, and we already swept them once in the playoffs. So I just think we should really be thinking more looking at our team and less about Kyrie.
Okay, yeah, I mean I hear what you're saying about that, but get used to it because it's going to be a lot of Kyrie talk for the next 10 days, which is going to be exhausting. There's a lot to go back to. It's a good story though. It is. I mean, you think about it, where the Celtics were a few years ago, desperately wanting to tie the entire future of the franchise to Kyrie Irving, and it didn't work out. And that generally tanks franchises, and it didn't tank them. In fact, they've been better off without him. And the thought that you are going to have to go through Kyrie Irving to finally get to the mountaintop, to finally do that thing, that's wild. That's why we like sports, right? This is why we're into it. Storylines galore. How about Ralph in Rhode Island? Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Matt. I'm the unofficial president of the Fan Club of Sports Hub. So let me just say this. First of all, I'm glad you're on tonight.
Thank you.
You should be on every night because you're the one who tells the truth. And the truth hurts and people don't like it. But I love listening to your show. I'm a big fan.
Thanks,
Ralph.
So
let me make a couple of quick points. So I think the Celtics, I agree with you. I think the Celtics are going to smoke them tonight. I think it's going to be a 20-point blowout, and they're really going to put pin in the balloon. As far as Kyrie, worrying about Kyrie is like worrying about running into a girl you dated in high school. Who cares? He's old news. As far as the Bruins, they need to sweep the house, clean the house, get out the coat hanger, and fire all those ex-hockey players who have no experience, like Cam Neely and Don Sweeney.
So, Ralph, I want to keep it to the Celtics tonight. The Bruins do need to make changes, though. I don't think they need to make wholesale changes, but they do need to make changes. Thanks for the call and for the support and the love and all that. Now, I'm a bringer of truth, Skaz. Did you hear that?
Put that on the resume.
That's right. Right at the top. Matthew R. McCarthy, bringer of truth. Not bad. Yeah, put that right in the Twitter bio. Or X or whatever we call it now. McCarthy brings truth. Can't believe somebody out there thinks that. Okay, all right. Well, thanks, Ralph. Appreciate it. Ray in Revere. Hey, Ray, what's up?
Hey, Matt. I vote for you for the slot every night too.
Thanks.
So listen.
Hold on, real quick though, Ray. What is this? Some like anti-Joe Murray movement? I'm not going to stand for this. Joe's my boy. I am happy to fill the seat.
All right, I'll leave it there. Listen, let me make this point about Bill Walton. I'm old enough to have seen him play in college, and he was the best player in the NBA in '77. He's the MVP, and they won the championship. I saw him live at the Celtics. He was a shell of himself, and I heard him speak publicly. I was there, met him 7 years ago at a conference. He was a gentleman in person, and every bit the knowledgeable person in person that he portrayed on television. A real gentleman. I think the biggest difference of the Celtics now and before is Holiday. He's such an improvement over Smart. Let me just go through this 3-game progression. He had him a mismatch, played offense, scored 28 points. The next game didn't even get his first field goal until the third quarter. The game after that, he makes a huge defensive play at the end to seal it. This kid really is the difference, along with the maturation of those two wings.
Ray, I think you're spot on with that. I think Drew Holiday is the guy they have needed. And I think you were told for a long time that you had that guy, and you just didn't. You had somebody who was capable of doing some big things, making some big plays, particularly on the defensive end, of the court. So I don't want to entirely discredit Marcus Smart and the things he brought to the team. But for years, you were told he was something more than he was. And I'm here to tell you that Drew Holiday is everything you've seen from him and maybe even more. That's how good he is. That's how important he is. To have a guy who plays his role, right, and doesn't get too involved. For years, you were told, oh no, Marcus Smart makes all these winning plays, and you excused away all the bad that came with Marcus Smart. You excused away all the moments where he was too reckless or got too involved. Do you ever have a moment with Drew Holiday, ever? And Skaz, you're a hoops guy, so you produce all these games, you watch all these games. Have you ever had a moment this year where you've said, what the hell was Holiday doing there? Why did he do that? What is he thinking? What is he looking at? Have you had a single one of those moments this year?
No, he is the definition of consistency. He just always makes the right play. He's in the right spots. I think it was Tatum or Brown after the game said, we have a very set defensive scheme that we use. Mm-hmm. The only guy that doesn't have to adhere to it is Drew Holiday because we trust him, because his instincts are better than any scheme we can come up with. So, yeah, that's the type of guy he is. He's almost, we're allowed to cross sports at 7 o'clock, but he's like an Ed Reed out there. Like he just knows where to be and what to do. He's not going to, the moment's not too big for him, and that's a guy, they needed a champion in the room. They needed a guy. I like Smart. He's a solid player. He's not Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I think that's blatantly obvious at this point. And he's a better offensive player than Smart. If Holiday has an open look, I'm not saying no. I don't scream no. Is he a perfect offensive player? No, of course he isn't. Is he an all-star quality player, though? Yes. There's a reason why, and not that I'm Mr. Team USA basketball or whatever, but there's a reason why when our country is asked to put together the 12 best basketball players we can, put together the best basketball team, Drew Holiday is on that team and was on that team 3 years ago. Is he one of the 12 best basketball players on earth or in the country? No, probably not. But is he the perfect guy you need when you need to win a game? Because he's going to do the right thing. He's going to be in the right spot. He's going to make the right read. He's not going to get too involved when he shouldn't be involved. How many times did Marcus Smart insert himself into a moment that he didn't need to insert himself into? This is the perfect guy they have needed. They needed somebody like this. And this is, by the way, not a knock on Brown and Tatum, right? Like, you need a champion in the room. You need a guy who's been there and done that before. And it's never a knock to me on a star player that you have a huge, big-time role player beside you. Because every champion across sports or whatever has those role players that step up and for whatever reason are perfect in the moment or the perfect fit or whatever that may be.
Leon Poe.
I mean, but he's even more than Leon Poe.
Yeah, of course. But Leon Poe was that guy.
Yep. I mean, Leon Poe had the huge game too. I mean, but I don't even want to compare Holiday to Leon Poe because he's just more than that. He's more than Eddie House. He's more than James Posey. He is a glue guy. Far be it for me to cross sports, but we can because it's not Felger and Maz. Isn't he kind of like a Dante Hightower role? Where you're like, this guy's a really, really, really good player. He's one of the better players in the league at what he does. And he just elevates himself in the biggest moments.
He'll be there.
Yep, he will be there. Drew Holiday will be in the middle of it. That 48th minute from Drew Holiday the other night was perfect. Perfect. Couldn't get much better. So, was it a knock on Tom Brady that he needed Dante Hightower to make big plays along the way? Of course it wasn't. Is it a knock on Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown that they need Drew Holiday to make big plays along the way? Not even in the slightest. And I don't want to hear that. Oh, well, you needed to go out and get Drew Holiday. I can hear it now. You needed to go out and get Drew Holiday so he can make the big plays because Jayson Tatum won't. Jayson Tatum missed the basket at the end of that game, and it wouldn't have mattered. You wouldn't have needed Drew Holiday to make that defensive stop if Tatum hadn't missed. Come on. Are we going to do that? Yeah, I guess we're going to do that, right? That's what we do, right? It's not what I do because I'm a bringer of truth.
That's it. It's in the bio.
It said that right there. That's what the caller said. I bring truth. Here's the truth. It is not a knock on Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown that they need a guy like Drew Holiday. Every championship team needs somebody like Drew Holiday.
I don't see Mavs fans saying, Daniel Gafford really bailed out Luka Doncic and Kyrie or Derek Lively. No, you need these guys. And Holiday's better than both those guys. But the Celtics, whatever series they're in, I wouldn't even call them ancillary, but their secondary players are so much better than everybody else's. And that's their real advantage in these series.
Until you get down to the 7th or 8th guy and until we get to Sam Hauser. Jimmy Stewart, if you're still listening. You know why? Because he sucks. He sucks. Sam Hauser, by the way, tonight, because the Celtics are going to win this game.
Oh, he's going off tonight.
You know he's going off because it doesn't matter. And then I'll have to have people belying me about Sam Hauser. See, Sam Hauser's good. No, he's not. No, he's not. You know who Sam Hauser needed? My dad. My dad, who recognized that young Matt McCarthy is like, just because you're the big guy, you're playing center, doesn't mean you can't pass. Sam Hauser needed somebody along the way who's like, hey, Sam, I know you can shoot, but you actually need to be able to do other things to be a good basketball player on nights where your shot isn't falling. So, maybe we should work on defense today, Sam. Or maybe you should learn how to pass the basketball. Or do anything else besides shoot. Because eventually when you get into the playoffs, they're going to try to stop you from shooting. And when a few of your shots don't fall, you're going to get down on yourself and you're going to realize that maybe it's not that easy. The shots aren't going in, and oh my God, I can't do anything else, which is the Sam Hauser experience. I'm airballing threes, and there's nothing else I can do because I'm not a good basketball player. He needed my dad to be like, hey, learn how to pass the ball, kid. But my dad recognized I did not have Sam Hauser's shot. He's like, you don't ever take the ball ever again. Just when you get it, just get it away. That does not belong in your hands. Coming from my dad, who has a trophy on display from his CYO basketball. Skaz, his trophy said most team-minded. He was the most team-minded.
Hey, every team needs one.
That's me. I'm a team-minded guy here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm going to put that in the bio, too. Bringer of truth and most team-minded. We continue. It's McCarthy in for Joe.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Joe Murray. Skaz needs this answered as well. How the hell are the Celtics only favored by 7.5 tonight? Am I falling into a trap here as I just put my mortgage on the Celtics minus 7.5? I mean, that feels like they're going to run away with this game tonight, right? After Indiana lost game 1 and game 3 in the manner in which they did, no Halliburton. I mean, even, again, I'm not like a huge Luke Cornett guy tonight, but I think having Cornett helps, given that I think Indiana had most of their success in game 3 against the Celtics' smaller lineup, like they went to the paint. So again, not a huge Cornett guy, but just having him back is going to help a little bit, right? Feels like the Celtics have developed a bit of a killer mentality. I am now terrified at that bet I just placed. Celtics minus 7.5. Skaz, we are about to get absolutely porked on that one. That's tough.
They'll win by 7.
I think they win this thing by 15 tonight. I think they win this by double digits. I do. I think they're going to blow them out. I do. Second game without your best player. You generally find a way to respond in the first game without your best player. Second night, you don't have that guy, though. I mean, you are 48 minutes away from Cancun, those guys. And I think they've been a scrappy bunch. You know, I think they've been spunky. I think they can score. But the Celtics defended horribly for the first 2.5 quarters of that game the other night, and they still won. I just think the Celtics realize they can put this thing away and get their rest before the championship, the NBA Finals start. I love the Celtics tonight. Love the Celtics, which should terrify you. And it terrifies me now that I have my money on it. 617-779-0985. How about Pete on the Cape? Hi, Pete.
Hey, how you doing now, Matt?
What's up?
Hey, I wanted to compare that the trade Stevens made for Drew Holiday was exactly similar to the way Auerbach traded for Dennis Johnson back after the 82-83 season when the Sixers had beat the Celtics in the playoffs in the finals. He went out and got Dennis Johnson, and, of course, the next year we went on to beat the Lakers in the finals. So just want to bring up that point. It was very similar to the way Stevens and Auerbach had put those trades together.
You know, Pete, if the Celtics win a championship, it will absolutely, this offseason that Brad Stevens had will go down as one of the great off seasons in the history of Boston sports for a general manager. And, you know, if you want to draw comparisons to, you know, DJ, I think that's an absolutely an apt comparison. You know, whatever, you know, great trade in Boston sports you want to talk about, you know, throw Holiday and Porzingis on the list if the Celtics win a championship. And, you know, maybe Porzingis is a little bit diminished if he doesn't come back, if he, you know, isn't effective, you know, whatever it may be. But can you believe that Brad Stevens, first-time executive, by the way, essentially second year on the job, like this guy's never done this before. The moves he has made since taking over for Danny Ainge, I am stunned at how good they are. And by the way, I was a fan of moving Stevens to the front office because I think he's a really sharp basketball guy, and I like it when you have really sharp basketball people building teams. But I didn't think it'd be this good. I mean, I thought there would be bumps along the way. I thought somewhere along the way, a first-time executive would make a bad move. One bad move. Has he made a bad move? A single bad move. Brad Stevens, in his time since taking over for Danny Ainge, has he made one bad move? I don't think so. I mean, really, I'm racking my mind. I can't come up with one. And I'm not exactly all the time Mr. Positive. So if I can't come up with one, how good are you at your job? Best general manager in Boston sports by far. There is not a close second. The job that Brad Stevens has done, in many ways, you know, reshaping this team. A team that was still struggling in the wake of the Kyrie Irving decision because everything Danny Ainge had done up until that point was building around Kyrie. Trading Tatum, trading Brown, bringing in Anthony Davis, Kyrie signing a long-term extension here. Like, that was the plan. That was the plan. Gordon Hayward was going to stay healthy and all that. None of that worked out. And Stevens comes in a year after Kyrie walks out the door. He knows he's got a bad deal with Kemba Walker. He gets him out the door for Al Horford, who we thought had nothing left to give at that point and has proven to you time and time again he still has something left to give. I don't know if you're going to count on it every single night. I mean, I'd be concerned about asking for it every single night. I think if you ask for it every single night, you'll run into trouble eventually because Horford, at his age, is going to get picked on the defensive end. You know, he's not going to have his legs. His shot isn't going to fall. But every once in a while, you're going to get nights like you did on Saturday or in Game 5 against Cleveland where he goes 22 and 15 or he goes 7 of 12 from 3 the other night and competes. Winning tonight gives Al Horford an extra 10 days off or something close to it. A little less than 10 days.